3. Hey, welcome into the Niagara 411 Live election results 2022. We have 12 municipalities. We have one regional government to elect tonight, which means 13 levels of government to officiate over the Niagara region. And it would be probably a very slim majority that would say, maybe that's too many. My name is Lee Sterry. We are brought to you by WeeStreem, Canada's premier streaming organization, and here over Niagara 411 Live and WeeStream Niagara, and this is a bit of a different forum for us, a bit of a different forum for me, because usually I can see everything that I'm doing on the camera, and I can't tonight, but that's okay. As you can see on that screen, 12 municipalities plus the region, and what we're going to be doing is covering exclusively Niagara for you, because there are all kinds of places you can go to find out what's going on around the province, which I heard today had something like 6,000 candidates running in for 2,800 seats or some ridiculous thing. And if there was ever an issue that needed to be discussed, not just in Niagara, but around the entire province, is governance. How many politicians do we need to govern our lives? Just in Niagara, as I mentioned, as you can see on the screen, 12 municipalities plus the region, 13 groups of politicians, of which there go from anywhere to 2 to 10 to what it's almost like you don't know how many people are governing your lives. And oftentimes, that's why people say, I'm not going to vote because I can't figure it out. I don't know who's looking after what. I have no idea how many people are going to be determining how I live the next 4 years of my life. And governance is an amazing part of it. Governance sounds like one of those fancy words like that we don't understand, that we try to learn when we're kids in school, and yet nobody ever really explains to us what it is. Well, what governance is if you're living in, okay, let's pick Waynfleet, one of the smallest municipalities that we have in Niagara. How many people do we have that represent Waynfleet in a region? I think it's one. I think it's just the mayor. If you're elected mayor of Waynfleet, you're it as far as regional representation on regional council. Okay, so now let's pick St. Catharines. All right, so we've got, 12 St. Catharines councillors. How many representatives on the 5, 6, 11? Nobody really seems to know, unless you actually look at the ballot that you're ticking names off, and it says you can only pick 6, or you can only pick 2, or it's like a sports pool. You can only pick X number of, and this is why people get turned off voting. And this is what is going to be the biggest story, I believe, of the municipal elections for Ontario, perhaps across the country, but we're just talking about Ontario and mainly Niagara. And that's what it's going to be about. It's going to be about voter turnout, voter apathy or lack of apathy, and lack of understanding of who they're voting for and why they're voting for them and where they're going to come in. So here's an example of the screen that you're going to be looking at throughout the evening here on our show. There are 6 wards in the city of St. Catharines. Merritton, St. Andrews, St. George's, St. Patrick's, Grantham, Port Dalhousie, and then, of course, there's the regional contingent. So everybody's going to be able to vote for their mayor. And you could only vote for one when you went in, either Mike Britton, Nick Petrucci, or Matt Sisko. And then you had the opportunity, for example, this is the ballot that I looked at when I went in to vote today, in Ward 6, which is Port Dalhousie. Haley Bateman, Brian Blue, Steve Borisenko, Jim Bradley, Matthew Bradman, Brian Height, Rod Herzog, Sabrina Hill, Laura Yip, Sean Marriott, Alicia Marshall, John McGill, Tricia McLennan, Tim Rigby, Peter Secord, Sal Sorrento, and Dennis Van Meer. So you've got all these people, and you can only pick 6 of them. Now, and that's just for Port Dalhousie, which is one of the smallest wards in the region. Now, here we go to Niagara Falls. Jim Diodati, Grant Hall, Sandra Marie McKinnon, Mohammed Shafiq, Connie Topolinsky, Roland Weeks, Joe White. Those are your mayoral candidates. And that's Kevin Jack, by the way, is our executive producer, as always, with this program from WeeStreem. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Yeah, doing great, Lee. Looking forward to how municipal governments are going to be shaped over the next 4 years.
Well, it's going to be very interesting for you in particular because WeeStream does an awful lot of the streaming of the council meetings for the various municipalities around Niagara. So it'll be kind of interesting for you.
Yeah, I know.
Because you know a lot of these people.
Yeah, I know a lot of the people. I know how they behave in and around council and the community, and I look forward to working with a lot of them.
And I know you have probably in your back pocket your picks for who's going to come out of this, but we're not going to pick your pocket just yet. But this has to be probably the largest group of people running for the mayoral race in any of our municipalities. I mean, St. Catharines is only 3. Here there's there's 7 people running for the mayor of Niagara Falls. That can't be good. That's gonna. And I'm sorry. I appreciate the fact that people want to step up and be counted, and that's what we're going to do tonight is count you. But boy, you splinter the vote when you've got 6 or 7 people running for one seat. Anyway, we'll see how that fleshes out. The regional councillor race for the city of Niagara Falls, Tony Caruso, Kim Crater. Kim's been around, since the dinosaurs disappeared. Love you, Kim.
No, but it's a list of who's who in Niagara Falls politics.
Indeed. Karen Fraser, Bob Gale, who we thought that would not be running in this election at all, because Bob himself said to me and publicly, etc., when he ran for the provincial election for MPP for the Conservative Party, this is my last gasp. I'm not gonna do this anymore. This is my last political fight. Because he never was a politician, but he was urged to participate in this election by so many people. He thought, I kind of feel like I'm going to be letting people down if I don't go in. So he threw his name in the hat, and I didn't see a lot of Bob Gale signs. I didn't see a lot of effort, et cetera. But he said, okay, if you want me back, I'll come back. But if I don't come back, I'm going to go on a cruise. So Bob Gale's in there. Barbara Greenwood, she's been around for a while. Carolyn Iannone. And if you look on the mayor's side of the things, you got Jim Diodati at the top on the mayor's race. You've got Carolyn Iannone down there, about five names down. And if there was ever an oil and water combination, it would be Carolyn Iannone and Jim Diodati. It would almost be worth the fireworks for them both to get reelected. I'm not proposing anything because the polls have closed. I'm not telling you to do anything, but it would be flippin' entertaining, that's for sure, over the next number of years. Kevin Maves, Joyce Morocco are the other 2 people that are up for regional councillor race in Niagara Falls.
Now, quickly, Lee, I just want to jump through the 12 municipalities and see if we have any of the polls.
Yeah, please do that, because some of the polls close really fast. I see 0, 0, 0, zeros, zeros. And keep in mind, folks, I'm trying to read this screen at the same time you are. I don't have any prior information. So if I stumble over my tongue here and there trying to figure out what we're looking at, I'm stumbling over my tongue at the same time you're stumbling over yours. But I can guarantee you that this is going to be the first and the fastest way that you find out what's going on in Niagara. You don't have to watch any one of the TV shows. You don't have to try to find a radio to listen to or anything like that. This is the one site that is going to give you as immediate a result as you can possibly get. Right now, there are 0 elections. And there's Welland, of course. I mean, Frank Campion and Jeff Walters for mayor. It's not worth walking through all the names because there's nothing to report. Now, what we did learn from West Lincoln was the fact that the only way we're going to be able to get, because all of these municipalities, I know I'm jumping around, are going to be reporting from kind of different ways. West Lincoln, the only place that Kevin and I are going to be able to get our results is from their own site. So we're going to have to keep popping back and forth to their own site, which makes it kind of clunky as far as West Lincoln is concerned.
It's a Facebook site. That's how they said they're going to put it out there, Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah. So and the other municipalities, we can just access it immediately. West Lincoln is only putting it up on their Facebook site. So it is what it is, and we're going to have to keep in touch with that as much as we can for you. And there's the town of Grimsby. Nothing there. If you see a site like that where there isn't information, that means we don't have any information.
Yeah, I mean, the small print there says that results will be posted as soon as possible following the closing of the polls at 8 p.m. So obviously Grimsby has nothing to report as we
and that was only 11 minutes.
Move on over to the town of Lincoln, kind of the same thing.
There's the thing we're talking about. And we knew this would happen. I mean, you know this happens. The polls close at 8 o'clock, and then the various people that are looking after the polling sites all over the place are packing up their boxes, and some of them are... Kevin, that's one of the things that I actually wanted to do a little bit of research on, and I confess, I'm not 100% sure. Some of these regions are all electrically, digitally counted, and some of them are manually counted. And I don't know which are which, to be perfectly honest. I should. Marvin Yunkin is back in the fray. Frank Adamson in Pelham. Marvin has taken a few kicks at this can over the last number of years. So, and you see we've got you've got the advanced polls. If you look right across the top at the various candidates, that's what makes it a little bit difficult for people like us to try to disseminate all this information, is you've got the different polling stations. So you got 1, 2, 3, and then the advanced polls. And then you got Lookout and Short Hills and Pelham Friends Church and Woodland Sunset. And then you've got the totals on the far right. It would be easier for us folks next time we do this if you put totals on the far left and then break it down. But we don't design these things.
A couple of acclaimed here in the town of Pelham. So Kevin Kerr and Wayne Olson have their seats back at council.
Yeah, that's got to be the best way to win an election. Just be acclaimed. Nobody else is running against me. Phew, let's go out for dinner. That's it, and that's awesome. Bob Hildebrandt and Shelley Nisnik, also Ward 3 councilors, 2 to be elected. Them are the 2, because them are the only ones that were running. And Wally Braun, Diana Hewson, Frederick Sarvis are also running to complete that table.
So here's Township of Waynfleet. Again, looks like we've got nothing to report.
Well, I mean, Waynfleet has, you elect the mayor, and that mayor becomes part of regional council, as I understand it. And I don't think there's more than one regional councilor out of Waynfleet. And this is always an issue, as I talked about right off the beginning of the program, is governance, I still believe, is going to be a massive, massive issue in the next round of the municipal governments all through Ontario, not just Niagara, but all through Ontario. Doug Ford, we're not going to worry about Ontario because Ontario is being covered by everybody else. But one of the only reason I bring him up is our premier had mentioned the fact that governance, because it was going to be a big deal, because of the 13 governmental levels that are here in Niagara. It's absolutely ridiculous. 12 municipalities. I mean, Niagara Region government was brought in back in, the 60s, 70s, whatever it is, and it was with the whole design to have one concentrated level of government that would look after the entire region, but all the other 12 municipalities still, after decades, still exist. So that's a lot of politicians in one region. So there we go for the city of Thorold. And here's a case in point. We got Damon Ford and Terry Ugolini that are running for mayor. Okay, now that makes sense. You got 2 people running for mayor. Now you got a total of 8 people to be elected for councillors in Thorold. Look at all these people. How the hell are you supposed to know what these people stand for if you're a general citizen of Thorold, to vote for 8 of these people so that it's an informed vote? It's silly. It's absolutely silly. We've got Angie Coates, Henry D'Angelo, Kieran Daniels, Mike DeVitas, Nella Deckard, Pirio, Carmen DeRose, Tim Geddes, David Handley. Well, we know him as Jim. He's been a member of Thorold Council for, God, Kevin, I don't know, ages. Rachel Haynes, Anthony Longo, Tim O'Hare, Ken Sentence, Ryan Smith. How are you supposed... Sorry, I've got to mention them all now. Sebastian Socio Marandola, James Simons, Dean Taylor, Sean Wilson, Victoria Wilson, Chris York, all of these people who think they have something to bring to the table. How the hell can you possibly stand out as a councillor in a municipality as small as Thorold?
Well, therein lies the debate, Lee, about an at-large system or a ward system.
Yeah.
And if you're at large and you drive through Thorold, there are signs everywhere because all of these, what do they have, 26 candidates or something like that? Every single one of them had to campaign right across the entire city. Where if you have a ward system, you only have to campaign really in that ward. So, and I'm not saying that that's the only merit that needs to be considered, but it's one of the issues, right?
Okay, but when I went in to vote today, I'm in Ward 6. I'm in the Port Dalhousie ward. I didn't have all of the St. Catharines city. I mean, Port Dalhousie's part of Ward 6 is part of the city of St. Catharines. I didn't have all of the St. Catharines.
Well, that's because St. Catharines is a ward system as opposed to the city of Thorold, city of Niagara Falls, which is at large.
Okay, so now within a system we have more than one system.
You're absolutely right. All right, let's see what's going on in Port Colborne, where we had the.
Okay.
Here we go. Results will be posted here after the polls close. So I mean, you had steel on steel action in Port Colborne with the incumbent Bill Steele being challenged by his brother.
Well, that's got to be good for a Thanksgiving dinner roundtable, huh?
Well, I don't think the brothers have sat at the same dinner table for quite some time.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, it was Thanksgiving just a few weeks ago. Don't you think they would have maybe discussed, what's your platform for the, I believe in cranberry sauce. Well, I don't. I'm totally with the stuffing. You know, I don't get it. Brothers, how mom and dad must be proud of that. And then, don't you love that when you go to a Facebook page and see page not found? Well, wait a minute. You told me I could go to this page, and now you can't find it? All right, so there we go.
Our first results are in.
Hey, we have results. Lord Mayor of Niagara-on-the-Lake, Gary Zalepa, sorry, Gary, if I screwed up your name one way or the other, 43.77% of the vote. Betty DeCero, she is the incumbent, at 39.9%. Vaughn Gettler at 16%. So here we go. And then the regional councillors, Andrea Kaiser at 43.9% of the vote so far. Paolo Miele, 20%. Pat Dart. Oh, Pat Dart, though, is not in the race anymore. He got 19. He's had 19% of the vote, and he's not even running anymore. This is how citizens pay attention to what's going on in municipal politics. 19% of you in Niagara-on-the-Lake voted for somebody that's not even running. My goodness. Okay, I'll calm down.
Let's look at town council.
Jesus. there we go for Niagara-on-the-Lake leader.
Wow, that is a tight race, Lee.
Yeah, 12% for Irwin. Gary Burroughs, 10%. One would have expected Gary because of his name recognition, former chair of the Niagara region. Tim Balasiuk as well has some name recognition. He's not too far behind at 9.1. Wendy Sharapata, 9.05. Sandra O'Connor, and then it sort of trickles down from there. And
So, Lee, if you're wondering,
isn't it? Sorry,
Adriana Carter right now is the cutoff at 7.33, just 0.13% of Maria Mavridis.
One wonders about. I mean, eight councillors from the municipality of Niagara-on-the-Lake. Doesn't that sound like a lot for Niagara-on-the-Lake to you? It seems like it's a little heavily weighted, but there you go. As you say, the cutoff is Adriana Carter, and then we go down from there. So everybody from Adriana on up are so far going to be councillors of the municipality of Niagara-on-the-Lake, and Gary Zalepa. Am I pronouncing Gary? I'm sorry. Am I pronouncing Gary's name correctly?
Yeah, no, you nailed it. I think Gary was a regional councillor last term. And
I didn't think it was Zalepa, but just in case.
Pretty contentious up there. You know, there's a lot of people that really support Betty Tesoro, and there's a lot of people completely on the other side.
Yeah.
So interested to see where this one goes, but a tight race, and the first results that we're getting in. So we should at least have an applause for that. You know what, Lee? I want to make sure that we check in on all the others, and we can come back here.
Yeah, sure.
If we don't have any other results.
So far, that's the result of Niagara-on-the-Lake. Okay, we're talking about Fort Erie municipal and school board elections here. It looks like we can almost pretty much declare that Wayne Redekop is going to be returned to the mayor's seat in Fort Erie. As far as the councillors in Ward 1, George McDermott, way out there. And the only thing that is yet to be determined is who's going to come in second. But it doesn't matter. You only elect one other councillor.
That looks like a runaway in Ward 1. Ward 2, similar.
Yeah, very, very similar. Redekop still way out in front as far as the mayor is concerned. So it's obvious that Wayne Redekop has done a reasonably good job as far as his constituents are concerned. Ward 4, again, Redekop pretty much acclaimed in our books. Joan Christensen, again, way out in front. I don't see anybody else catching her. And again, same story in Ward 5 in Fort Erie Municipality is Redekop and Tom Lewis. Same story all across the board.
Gosh. When you look at this in Fort Erie, you can almost call it right now with Redekop as mayor.
I think we have called it. Redekop's mayor and these councillors that are ahead. And how do you have 6 wards in Fort Erie? And we have 6 wards in St. Catharines, Kevin. It's ridiculous.
Well, speaking of St. Catharines, let's take a look. Here we go. Some early numbers are in.
Okay, Matt Cisco will be mayor. I'm calling it right off the top. After that, it gets interesting. Jim Bradley, Laura Yip, and again, I can't say it enough, if you have brand recognition, if you have name recognition, it is going to be something that will help you get reelected. Even if you don't know who they are, you'll see, oh, I know that name, and that's how a lot of people vote. Bradley is leading off the top, Laura Yip, and then it falls out from there. Haley Bateman, Sal Sorrento. I'm a little bit surprised, Kevin, at this point in time, and maybe it's not because his ward has not reported yet, but Sal Sorrento and Tim Rigby are a little bit down there. Brian Haidt, who has been a feature of news stories of late with regard to his position on regional councillor, we won't get into that, but he's been in the news quite a lot lately. Here's a fellow that I thought might be up a little bit higher on the board, and again, from the region in St. Catharines, there are a lot of polls that probably have not yet reported. So some of these people like Alicia Marshall, Sabrina Hill, Rob Herzog, down to John McGill, it depends how these how these various wards report and how quickly they report. So you can't really take this thing to the bank right now, except for perhaps Jim Bradley and Laura Yip.
Yeah, and it looks right here, the cutoff, I mean, it's just 3 votes right now. There you go. More votes are coming in. And the cutoff is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's Peter Secord, who just leapfrogged Brian Height.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure, Lee, it looks like probably a lot of the other municipalities are coming in. So let's rip through some of these.
Okay,
and we'll go through the wards in St. Catharines.
Leo, let's go, because now's the time we're going to start to get continued
That's
updates.
a tight race.
Okay, so let's get to Meriton. Of course, the mayor issue is not an issue, but we've got Greg Miller and Jennifer Moradian, who are, and as well as Jackie Lindell, are really playing cat and mouse here. And only 2 of those, the other 3, sorry, Rebecca, Jeff, and Joshua, the chances are you're out of the race. But Greg, Jennifer, and Jackie, this is a bit of like it could be by a nose that somebody wins it. Because out of those, out of those 3, only 2 will be elected.
Yeah, let's rip through these, Lee, and let's see where we're at.
Ward 2, Kushner, Matt Harris. Again, those 2 will probably be elected. Ward 3, that's pretty obvious. Kevin Townsend, Mark Stevens, that's pretty obvious with how that's going to go. I don't see that changing much. Ward 4, Robin McPherson, Caleb Radsliff. Again, probably not a big decision there. And that's pretty cut and dried. 2 people to be elected, Don Dodge, Bill Phillips, with huge proportions. And once again, as you might expect, Carlos Garcia and Bruce Williamson. It's like the river never flows north. You know, that's the issue right there. Here we are in the city of Niagara Falls. Kim Crater, God, you know, Kim is he's ageless. After all the stuff that Kim's been through, 20.5% of the vote, 3 people to be elected, and we've got Joyce Morocco, Barbara Greenwood, and I guess Bob Gale and Barbara are going to be in a runoff for the 3rd seat here.
Okay, and then you see Carolyn in 5th place. Let's quickly look at the city councilor race. You go Lori Lococo on top.
Yes, Lori Lococo at 9.6%. Ruth Ann Newestig, not too far off it. Mike Strange, pretty darn close. Mike's been a counselor for quite a bit of time now, hasn't he, Kevin? He's been.
Yeah, I think in fact he got the most votes in the last election.
Yeah.
And you can see incumbent Chris Dabrowski. You know, in my workings with him, good guy, representing the people of Chippewa very well, but he's fallen off the list right now in 10th place, it looks like.
Yeah, and of course we elect 8 for councilors in the city of Niagara Falls, and it looks like we're going to have the usual suspects, Kevin, to deal with, except, of course, perhaps for Chris Dabrowski, as you mentioned, but he's still not that far out. I mean, things could
move, but you see Carolyn Iannone moved into the regional race, and Chris Dabrowski right now in 10th, which makes room for Ruth Ann Newestig and Tony Baldinelli.
Exactly, yeah.
Let's move on to Welland and see what we got there.
Okay. In the mayor's race, it's really not that far off, but I guess 900 votes is... For a municipality the size of Welland, 900 votes can be significant. District school board, we're not going to be talking about school boards too much because we know nothing. I got to tell you, we know and you know nothing about school boards. So we're going to kind of be ignoring those. Regional councilor, out of the 2 that are elected for Welland, we've got 2, Pat Kiokio and Liana Vilea, very, very close, 30 votes apart for regional councilor in Welland. Councilor Ward 2, if you elect 2, David McLeod's way out in front, followed by Leo Van Fleet. Van Vliet. Sorry, not Fleet. Vliet. So those are the two folks who are leading in Ward 2. Back in Ward 1.
So just refresh it to Adam Moot.
Adam Moot.
Yeah, Adam Moot, he's an incumbent.
Right.
Along with Marianne Grimaldi.
Yeah.
Let's see there. Moving down to Ward 3, you got John Chiocchio, John Mastriani.
Yep. And those.
Oh, sorry, I apologize.
No, down to Shamia Sataram. Those look like the two big.
That's going to be a tight
race.
That's
a tight race.
It is. 3 people going
in
for
Ward
2 spots.
3, I wish I knew more about the geography to know what Ward 3 in Welland was. It would be interesting because Welland has expanded, Kevin, a lot. There's been a lot of development.
Absolutely. We could spend a lot of time on the tight races, as we get into the wee hours, because those are the ones that will come down to those final votes.
I know, but let's keep scrolling through, sure.
So we're just waiting for the refresh votes here for Ward 4.
Okay, we got Brian Green and Tony DeMarco are the leaders in 4. In 5, Claudette Richard, Graham Speck are the leaders, but all those 3 people are pretty close, actually, if you really look at it. In Ward 6, 2 people to be elected there. It's probably game over. Bonnie Falkins and Jim LaRouche look like they're going to go through there.
Now, Lee, before we get on to I think Township of West Lincoln is next, I want to go back to St. Catharines and take a look at that the regional councilor race. Because that's juicy.
Well, that's going to be the one that really sets it up because the city is not going to be too much of a surprise. So we've got Bradley Yip, Haley Bateman, Sal Sorrento, Tim Rigby, Peter Secord, Brian Height.
And that's your cutoff line right there.
And that's it right there.
No, Peter Secord's your cutoff line.
Peter Secord's cutoff line. Yeah, you only elect 6. But when you get down to the Peter Secord, Brian Height level, even Tim Rigby and Sal Sorrento, it's a bit of a game changer between those 3. 7.3, 7. You're in the 7s, you're in the 6. So those can change in a nano second.
So we'll check back on that. We'll see Township of West Lincoln. So again, the only way that they're putting out results are through their Facebook page. Not exactly sure why, so no results there.
Well, it was probably just less expensive for them to do it, although Grimsby is a pretty wealthy community. I don't know why they would do it that way, but
Town of Grimsby,
who the hell knows?
Town of Lincoln, I'll try and refresh here.
Okay.
See what we get. Again, kind of nothing.
But did you notice, Kevin, that there were probably only 2 or 3 main issues that, of all of the councilors, be they regional or municipal, that were running, or mayoral for that matter, they're running on housing affordability and governance, etc. And that's pretty much what the whole deal was, is helping people be able to live affordably, and we all want to do that, and who wouldn't say that as a candidate? But I didn't really hear a lot of tangible plans. Yes, I'm going to promote affordable housing. Okay, how are you going to do that? I didn't hear anybody say that. Now, maybe I didn't hear anybody say that because they weren't using WeeStream to do debate streaming. That's just me saying that, Kevin, not you.
Could be, Lee. So here we got our first results in for the town of Lincoln. Now, as you see, Mayor Sandra Easton is acclaimed. That's the only of the 12 municipalities to not have a challenger for mayor.
Yeah, Mayor Easton, way to go, Sandra.
Ward 1 looks like it's going to be a tight race for the second seat, as Adam Thomas Russell looks to be back in, but Diane Rajima, who's a great lady. I've met her a number of times, worked alongside of her. She's in a tight race for her ward with Joanne Sirkian.
Sirkeen?
Sure, I'll go with that, and then let's peek at Ward 2.
Yeah. Okay, Ward 2, 2 to be elected here, and that's a tight one.
That's done. 2 to be elected, and there's 2 that are way ahead of everybody else.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so there you go. They're in.
Why did I not catch that? That I was 2 to be elected, and 2 way out in front. That's ridiculous of me. Okay, 2 to be elected there. Well, that one's done too.
And good for Anna Murray. Anna Murray is somebody that she used to be the head of the Chamber of Commerce, and now threw her hat into the political ring, and looks like first time. I think it's the first time that she's run, and looks like she's going to get a seat there.
And again, Kevin, it goes to recognizable names. oh, I know her. And you get it. Okay, 2 to be elected here, Lynn Timmers and Greg Reimer.
Okay, that's what's happening for the region. Oh, there you go. Robert Foster acclaimed.
Okay, there you go.
Nobody challenged Robert for the seat in Lincoln?
I guess not. I mean, why would you? Robert's an
astute gentleman.
He is.
Okay, so let's see here. Okay, we got some results coming in.
Not that we're endorsing these people. I mean, it just makes sense that they're reelected. Marvin
Junkin is on the bottom.
Yeah, Marvin Junkin is on the bottom there. So he's leading at the moment, and Pelham, and then Ward 1 Councillor 2 to be elected. 2 of them acclaimed, so that's easy.
This one they're not letting me. Oh, of course they're not letting me scroll because these are all of the polling stations in Ward 2.
Yeah, so it's done pretty much.
Yeah, appears to be. I mean, Brian Eckert, Carla Baxter, maybe. Yeah. Ward 3 is acclaimed, and Diana Hewson.
Yeah.
Who is the incumbent? She appears to be heads and shoulders above everybody else.
Oh yeah,
you can call that one now.
Yeah, she's going back for sure. So congratulations to those people that have already. That are already having a nice glass of wine and looking forward to the next 4 years in office. Good for you.
Wayne Fleet's website to load. So you go. Surprised we're not getting anything out of the city of Thorold. Let's do a refresh.
Well, Kevin, it just simply may be, as I mentioned before, how these various municipalities do their tabulating and how their counts go. Some are faster, some are not, and it just is what it is.
Gosh, how are we going to see this?
Oh, I don't know, man. Okay, so Bill Steele, 62% of the vote. Charles Steele at 37%. That's pretty much a done deal.
Regional councillor acclaimed for Fred Davies.
Yep. Councillor Ward, you vote for 2. Well, I guess Mark is a shoe-in. Heather Mahan and Dave Elliott are a little tight, but with the size of the municipality, you could probably figure that it's going to be Mark and Heather. You vote for 2 here as well, kind of Angie Demaray, and then again, it's a tight race for second and third.
Eric Borgard is the young guy on council, and he's going to be reelected, and he's in a tight race now with Tim Hoyle.
Yeah. So that's going to be an interesting one there.
Ward 3, that's tight.
Ward 3, yes, it is very.
Now, Frank Danch, Councillor Danch, runs the Home Hardware in Port Colborne. He's been on council forever, it seems.
Now, he's in for a fight. We have a theme sort of developing here in the fact that the favorite is way out in front as the favorite, and it's kind of a fight for second in a lot of these wards. Monica Aquilina, here again, you vote for 2. You got 41 and 40%. That's a tight one.
Yeah, so they're good. I mean, we can get into the trustees and what have you. But
I don't. I have no interest in that, Kevin.
So here we are, Niagara on the Lake.
I don't have a horse in that race.
It doesn't appear as though anything's changed here in Niagara on the Lake. I'll do a quick refresh.
It doesn't look like much.
Those are the same numbers I think we were looking at before with Zalepa and DeCero.
Do you know Gary's background? I'm more familiar with Betty than I am with Gary.
Professionally, I don't. I believe he was a regional councillor last time.
Okay.
And again, I mean, town of Fort Erie was much ado about nothing with the slam dunk.
We pretty much declared. We've declared Fort Erie like almost an hour ago.
All right. So where do you want to hop to here, Lee?
Well, I think Niagara Falls and St. Catharines are the most interesting ones, not necessarily for mayor. I mean, I think most of us would have said, although we didn't want to say this out loud before the election, I think most of us would have said, well, Matt Cisco is going to be the next mayor of St. Catharines since Walter Senzik stepped away. And that's pretty much happened. That's done.
Yeah, I'm looking here, Lee, and I don't think these are updated results. I mean, I can try and keep. We've got 17 of 50. Is that it? Or 8 of 15? It's hard to say, but anyway, I don't think we've got updated results. So we'll move along and see if the needle's moved. Here we go. New results in
Niagara Falls is fun because Niagara Falls has been I don't mean this in a bad way. Niagara Falls has been the clown act of Niagara region over the last 4 years because it's been so much fun. Jim Diodati versus Carolyn Ionati. Carolyn Ionati. Why can't I say the name? Ionati. Kevin, say the name.
Carolyn Iononi.
Thank you, Iononi. I'm sorry, Carolyn. I apologize. I'm not doing this on purpose. But between Carolyn and Jim, it has been a real goat show over the course of the last number of years in Niagara City Council. And even today, it goes on. And as soon as recent as the announcement of the university that is supposed to be raising its head in downtown Niagara Falls, even that is still raising controversy between Carolyn Iononi. Thank you. I finally was able to say it. I apologize, Carolyn.
And you see over there for... go ahead. Finish your thought.
And Jim Diodati. I mean, Kevin, this has been very entertaining. If not a little bit kind of ridiculous, it's been very entertaining in the last term.
Now, if you see, Carolyn sits in 5th place in the regional councilor race, but Bob Gale has leapfrogged Barbara Greenwood. So that's a tight battle.
That is a tight battle. Bob was in 4th before. Barbara was in 3rd, and only 3 to be elected. So we got Kim Crater, Joyce Morocco, Bob Gale now in the top 3. And again, this all comes down to where these votes are being cast and what polling stations are reporting. And
now, Lee, I should let you know we got a text in here to the studio from somebody that's very politically connected, saying that a lot of the early numbers were advanced polls. So wanted me to pass that on. That a lot of the early numbers. So we might be waiting until maybe 9 o'clock before we get another onslaught of numbers. But it seems as though they're trickling in here in Niagara Falls enough to move the needle on Bob Gale and Barbara Greenwood.
That makes perfect sense because I mean, for example, I mean, my wife voted 2 weeks ago before she left to visit the family out in British Columbia. So yeah, that I had it just sort of didn't occur to me that was going to be a factor here, but of course it probably is. All right, here we are in the city councilor race in Niagara Falls, 8 to be elected, and there is where you see the cutoff point, as Kevin would call it. Lori, Mike, Ruth Ann Nuestig, Tony Baldinelli, Wayne Campbell, Victor Pietrangelo, Wayne Thompson, Mona Mattel.
And then you see, I mean, stalwarts, Vince Cario, I don't know how many years he's been on council. It's been forever, and he's below the cut line right now, as is Chris Dabrowski.
Yeah.
And Mona Patel, a newcomer.
But when you look at the percentages, the cut lines are pretty darn close. When you get down to Chris Dabrowski and to Vince Cario, those numbers can change pretty darn fast.
All right, let's go see what's happening in Welland.
Okay, Frank, the incumbent, Frank Campion, looks like he has a fairly good handle on that at this point in time. Only one to be elected on the district school board. We'll move past that because I don't care. I mean, I know you do, you people that have kids in school, but I'm not one of them. And school boards I can't keep track of anyway, and what sort of impact do they have on what really happens with your kids? We could have that debate for a long, long time. Regional councilor, we elect 2 of them. It's pretty obvious who those 2 are going to be. Councilor, elect 2 of those in Ward 1. Yep, it's Grimaldi and Moot. Ward 2, it's going to be McLeod and Van Vliet. I can't see it changing much beyond those 2. In Ward 3, Mastriani, John, as well. Oh, no, I'm
That's
sorry.
a tight race.
John Chiocchio and Sharmila Sataram are sort of battling it out there.
With John Mastriani.
And John has a shot at climbing into that race. Ward 4, we elect 2 of those. Wow, Brian Green's a popular fella. As is Tony DeMarco. One can think that they're going to be going through Claudette, Richard, Graham Speck in Ward 5.
Now, Lee, this is Welland, so that is Claudette Richard.
Richard, I'm sorry. Yes, I do realize it's a French-Canadian community. I apologize, Claudette. and Ward 6, we're talking about Bonnie Fawkins, and another close call between Jim LaRouche and Jamie Lee. So
Jim's been on council for eons.
Yeah, well, he's got a bit of a battle there.
He does. So again, Township of West Lincoln, we'll see if we're getting anything out of there yet. Okay, update results. All right, let's see what they have here, Lee.
Okay. West Lincoln. Wow. I guess that's done.
Yeah, I guess all that bad press that Dave Bilesma got caught up to him.
Yeah, Bilsma, bye-bye. Cheryl Ganan, almost 2,300 to the next, which is Dave Bilsma at 532. Oh my God, Cheryl, you are a rock star. You're a rock star.
Now, for regional council, you can't see that number, Lee. They can't see it at home. Albert Witteveen is 1,544. Peggy Cook is 1,282.
Well, so, I can see it from here.
Yeah, they can't see it at home. I got your nice face over top of them.
My nice face?
Yeah, so let's see what's happening in Ward 1, 2, and 3.
All right. Ward 1 councilor in West Lincoln. Jason Dana and Joan Chechuk, 354. Well, that could be an interesting race. By the looks of it, it's not, but it could be. And then we've got another one that looks like it could be good in Ward 3, but we're not sure of who's reporting where and when, but a 300-vote separation between William Riley and Terry Bell.
Let's see if we got any more. Here we go, the trustees. And back to the top. So that's what we got.
All right.
From West Lincoln.
Okay.
And let's see if we get anything yet.
And I don't want to minimize the importance. Let me clear this up. I don't want to minimize the importance of the trustees on the various boards. It's simply that there is so much with regard to education that is determined by the province. There is so little that we have to say as citizens about how our education system is run. Frankly, I don't see it as something that we have a lot of control over. That's part one of my disinterest. Part two of my disinterest is just, frankly, personal. My sons are now in their 40s. I don't care. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. Now, Kevin, you might be more connected to this. You have young children. You have children in school. They're in actually French schools, which would be even more interesting, perhaps, for you. So, how do you feel about the whole trustee thing?
I really feel bad for people that are running for those positions because it's so hard to get the public's interest in something that...
Well, they don't know what they do.
Exactly. And at municipal
what do you
elections,
do?
we have a hard enough time trying to figure out what the issues are in our municipalities when it comes to mayor, if you're in a ward system, what the ward issues are, who you should elect, who you shouldn't. I don't know many people that spend a lot of time and I feel bad for the candidates because there are some really good people that put their names forward.
And you know what? I do too. And again, I was being a little bit flippant earlier.
I know.
But and you know I was being flippant. It's that sort of weird sense of humor that I have, and I do realize that these people have things to say, and they do have agendas, and they do have things that they want to contribute, and they do want to help their children in their educational future. But to go to your point, and that's a perfect way to put it, nobody really understands what a school trustee does. And that's why it's so tough. It's a conversation for another time, but it is a big conversation. It's one we should probably have. Okay, here we are in the city of Thorold.
Yeah, these are first numbers we're seeing here, Lee.
Yeah, Terry is pretty much done. Not done. I mean, pretty much elected. Terry Ugolini with 73% of the vote. One regional councillor to be elected, and guess who that's going to be? Tim Whalen is it. Now here we go for city councilors. This is kind of interesting. It's very, very close. if you look at those percentages, unlike some of the other municipalities, this one's really close. Henry D'Angela, Tim O'Hare, Ken Sentence, Carmen DeRose, Anthony Longo, Mike DeVitas, Victoria Wilson, and Nella Decker. I mean, look how close.
Oh, new numbers came in, and now Jim Hanley just leapfrogged Victoria Wilson.
Yeah, okay, so there you go. So Jim popped over Victoria.
I mean, that's 3 votes, Lee. That's what we're looking at.
I know. When you're talking percentages, it's very small margins when you got 5.68 and 5.67. But it is the difference between getting elected and not getting elected. It might be small, but it's there. And it's kind of interesting, I find, Kevin, that Jim is a little bit that far down the list because he's been one of the most vocal councillors that I've ever run across as far as the city of Thorold is concerned. And usually it's the most vocal people. It's the people that are like putting their neck out there every single day that tend to get recognized more. And I find it interesting that Jim's name is that far down the list.
And a little sad to see James Simons down there. I mean, James is such a good friend of myself. He does so many good things in the community. I think this is the first time he's ever run for council. And I'll tell you that any council in the Niagara region would be a better place with James having a seat at the table.
Yeah, we've talked to James a lot, and I think this is going to be a really good learning platform for James. And the last time we talked to him on Niagara 411 Live, I introduced him as someone who I was kind of surprised that was running for political office because there is a mantra that would suggest that people can do an awful lot more as a private citizen oftentimes than they can do as an elected citizen. And James has accomplished so much as a private citizen, working for nonprofit organizations and charities, etc. And I even asked you this question on a couple of shows ago. Do you think he could be more effective doing what he's doing or more effective as an elected official? And frankly, Kevin, I think that although I appreciate his motivation, I think he can do more as a private citizen.
You might be right. You very well could be right.
So, but good going on James for throwing your hat in that ring. And you know what? Good going on everybody that steps up to stick their neck out there, stick their name out there, their very brand identity, their very existence, to take a shot at being a representative of their community. Kevin, I heard today that there are more than 6,000 candidates running for public office in municipalities around Ontario. And do you know how many municipalities that we have in Ontario? How many municipalities that we're electing? And this goes to the issue of governance, because this is almost ridiculously high. We have 6,000 candidates running in the province of Ontario today for, are you ready for the number? 2,800 seats. 2,800 seats. Why do we need 2,800 people to operate a province of Ontario? It's off the charts ridiculous as far as the numbers go. So, and Niagara is a shining beacon of example for how ridiculous that is. With 12 municipalities plus a regional government, 13 levels of governance in Niagara. And you know how big we are. We're not that big.
So here are some new numbers from the city of St. Catharines. I don't think much is changing.
That's my little rant. Okay.
But you still see, I mean, for Mayor Matt Cisco hovering around
Matt's
70%
the mayor.
of the vote.
Congratulations, Matt. You're our new mayor. Okay.
Nope, sorry, they're still looping through these here when I refresh. So I'll go back to the regional council. I think that's most interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jim's just by sheer name recognition, Jim Bradley's in. Laura Yip. Frankly, I'm a little surprised that Laura is that high, but I guess she's created her brand.
So I'll just highlight them there. They're the 6.
That's it. Those are your top 6. And I mean, the bottom three are obviously close enough to change in a New York minute there. But those are currently the people.
I think the wards, I mean, Merritton's always tight. And I mean, it's going to be a tight race again there. We'll keep checking in on that. It looks as there's 4 people vying for 2 spots. I mean, I know there's 6 that put their name forward, but
yeah,
as the votes are tabulated, it looks like we've got a race of 4 now.
Yeah, so Greg is probably, I mean, again, with the size of the community, Greg is probably in, but I guess it could go either way between Greg and Jackie and Jennifer. Yeah, that could switch in a hurry. Matt Cisco, obviously, that's a done deal.
This isn't changing?
No, that's not going to change. That's done.
St. George's. Nice to see Mark Stevens, if he gets into office, a former mayoral candidate. I know he's a member of the Grantham Lions Club, very active in the community, member of Crime Stoppers as well.
Yeah, but that race is done.
Yeah, but that's done. But I'm just saying, it's nice to see Mark Stevens finally getting a seat at the table.
Sure, yeah, good for him.
St. Patrick's Ward, you have Robin McPherson, who came onto council as a replacement, I think, when Matt Cisco went up to...
and Caleb, I have to admit, Caleb, I don't know. But congratulations. It looks like you're going to be sitting at the table.
Let's check out Grantham, where it's Bill Phillips and Don Dodge, the 2 incumbents.
Yeah.
That appears to be a done race.
Yeah.
And Port Dalhousie, I think we can put a bow on that one as well.
Yeah, I thought Jonathan might show a little better. Frankly, I thought, to be perfectly honest, just as a personal aside, I thought perhaps that Carlos has worn out his welcome, but apparently not.
Yeah, so no new update here in Niagara Falls.
How's the Bob Gale, Barbara Greenwood thing doing?
No update, so it looks like Bob Gale is just below Barbara Greenwood.
They've flipped again.
They flipped again. Okay, so that is an update.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jim, I've always said Jim can be mayor of Niagara Falls until he decides that he's not going to be mayor of Niagara Falls.
He's not going anywhere.
But, we'll keep our eye on that regional race.
What do you think, Kevin? What do you think would happen if Walter had continued his quest as mayor of St. Catharines? I think he probably would have been elected again.
Well, my only assumption would be that I guess the same 2, Mike Britton and Nick Petrucci, would run against him, and
Matt
Walter
wouldn't have.
No, Matt would have run against Walter. No, there's no way.
No. Because it would have been, he would have known that it was game over. Frankly, when you feel the political vibes going around, if you have any idea what's going on in the world, I'm surprised that anybody even ran against Matt Cisco. Like, why would you? Yeah. He was kind of acclaimed, the popular guy. Right off the start.
We can take a look here, and I mean, Lee, you can say what you want. I mean, I've been in a lot of these council chambers. Matt Cisco, I think, for the last 8 years, has been the chair of the budget committee for the city of St. Catharines.
Very, very.
He knows all the machinations. Politics aside, there was nobody better suited around that table to be the next mayor.
Very, very high profile. And he's got a family that is high profile as well, with the wonderful work that he and his wife Chrissy have done with adopting children from around the world. I mean, he's got all the boxes checked. You know. It would be tough to go against that. How are we doing here now in Welland?
Welland seems pretty boring.
Actually, Jeff Walters did okay, but he's not going to defeat the incumbent.
No, and then we get to regional council. I mean, that's a done deal with Kiokio and Villela.
Nothing fancy there.
Ward 1, Moot, Grimaldi.
Yeah.
Ward 2 appears to be McLeod and Van Vliet.
Yeah. That's not going anywhere. And then we've got John Kiokio, and he's a good guy too. I mean, I can't fault. And John Mastriani, it looks like, and then Shamila Sataram are going to be the 2 that go in.
Yeah, and John Mastriani is always a bit of a controversial vote.
He is. Always been a good guy.
During the last council about the whether there was going to be a by-election or if council just wanted to appoint John Mastriani and.
But it looks like Sharmila and John Kiokio are going to be the 2 out of Ward 3. And Ward 4, we've got, Brian Green, always a favorite.
Tony DeMarco, then
and Tony DeMarco.
And Claudette Richard. So I don't think we have any new numbers.
There's nothing new there.
From Welland.
Nothing, no
we'll
new.
see if the township of Waynfleet is, of West Lincoln. I haven't heard anything out of Waynfleet yet. Update number 2. So here we go. Update number 2. Oh, page isn't available right now.
Oh, welcome to the internet. Well.
So there you go. Same kind of results as we saw previously.
Now, I wonder, I don't know Cheryl. Do you know Cheryl?
I don't know Cheryl Ganon at all.
I would like to get to know her, and maybe we can talk with Cheryl at some point in the upcoming weeks on Niagara 411 Live, which is a show, of course, that we do on a regular basis.
I don't like that page.
Because whatever she did, I mean, first of all, Bylsma pretty much dug his own grave over the last year. I mean, you can't get away from that Bylsma pretty much hung himself. And I'm sorry for these references, but it's absolutely true. Politically, he just dug his own grave over the last year or so. So there's no way he was going back. If Mr. Bylsma had been reelected, if Dave had been, and I like Dave, he's a nice guy. We've talked numerous times, but if he'd been reelected, I would have looked around to see what country I was living in, because it was a very strange term for him. But Cheryl, I don't know, and I would like to. So Cheryl, at some point in time in the not too distant future, we'll have a conversation, okay? And we would like to get to know you a little bit more. And Mr. Bylsma, as I said, you were the harbinger of your own fate. You did it to yourself. Okay, here we are, West Lincoln. Jason Trombetta, Ward 1 Councilor, you're in. Joan Chechik, it's tight there, but I don't think with the number of polls left to report that it's going to change all that much. Although it looks like a close race, I'm not so sure that it will be. Same thing in Ward 3 between William Riley and Terry Bell. It's only a 300 vote difference, but with that low number of polls, it's probably not going to be that big a deal. Doug Joyner.
Yeah, good to see him back elected to office.
He's going to be an English separate trustee. It'll be interesting to see how Doug does at that after being having a mayoral role. How that feels to be in an educational position.
All right, there's back to that. So let's see if we've got anything yet from Grimsby. And
let's see.
I apologize, but I mean, this is
nothing
all
for you to apologize for. It is what it is.
That's all they give us. Town of Lincoln, what's happening here? I'll refresh. So Sandra Easton acclaimed. Ward 1, that appears to be fait accompli, with Diane now kind of pulling away from Joanne.
Yeah. Ward 2, yep, that's a done deal. Kind of close there. It looks kind of close, but I don't think it really is. When you've got 200 votes, that's okay. Ward 3, no, that's pretty much done too.
I would call that. Oh, sorry, they're still looping on me here. Robert Foster is acclaimed as regional councilor. Let's just peek into the DSBN. So it looks like Elizabeth Clausen will be representing the DSBN. Niagara Catholic is going to be...
Well, let's go back. Go back. That is a massive victory. And one wonders... I would love to talk to, actually, and maybe this is something we can do in the not too distant future, Kevin, is because we've sort of given short shrift to the school board elections, and I don't think maybe we've been fair to say that, because I'm not sure what's really involved in being that person, and because she has such a huge margin of the vote in the town of Lincoln, I'd really like to talk to her to see what it is they actually do.
That's a good point.
Because you know what? I don't think most of the voters even vote for these folks because they don't know what they do. I don't know what they do.
No, but 2,300 people think they know what she does. So
56.7% of the people in her area think she's damn good. And I would like to know why. And we can't do it tonight, but let's make a check mark, a note.
Let's track her down.
To do it in the future, all right?
Just looking here, we got a tight race for the Niagara Catholic, for the English French. It looks like it's acclaimed Pierre Gregory.
Yeah, Pierre's acclaimed. Sanders obviously acclaimed. Yeah.
Melinda Chartrand. So there you go for Lincoln. Let's go check out Pelham, where it looks like Marvin Junkin was getting back in.
Yeah, he was starting to form a race.
Yeah, here we go. Here, Marvin Junkin. Yeah, it looks like he's going to get back in. I don't think there's any updated numbers here from Pelham, Lee, so maybe we should just move on.
Yep.
Waynfleet again. Don't have anything.
Well, I think Marvin's a thing. I mean, he's always around.
Well, Marvin, if you remember, 4 years ago, famously unseated. I think it was Dave Augustine at the time.
Yes.
Amidst some controversy that he kind of brewed up in the community.
Yes,
they got behind him.
I talked to him on another network, as a matter of fact, about that exact issue. I do remember that very well. Jim Handley is back up in the fray.
And is this done, Lee? It's hard to say. I mean, tabulators 6 of 6. If you could see that number there, does that mean that
between 5.68 and 5.67? No, I don't think it's done.
Well, look at the top though. Tabulator 6 of 6. Does that mean that there were 6 polls in the city of Thorold?
I didn't see that.
And these are final numbers.
It looks like a final number.
I mean, we'll see if that moves, but if not, then Jim Handley beat Victoria Wilson out by 3 votes.
By 0.1%.
I mean, it's 3 votes. It's 3 check marks.
Whew.
You want to talk about every vote counting?
Why don't? Excuse me for dropping the pen there. Why don't we have? Because this is what, frankly, I really wanted to watch. Is a turnout percentage.
No, they're still crunching the numbers.
I guess. Because, yeah, well, obviously, because that has been the issue.
Well, they also don't have this here, eligible voters. I mean, if they did, you could take your ballots cast, divide 4508 into eligible
Kev,
voters.
I know how the math works. Thank you.
Well, sorry.
Yeah, and I get how the math works. The fact is, nobody's doing the math.
All right, we'll come back.
Kevin always thinks I'm a little slow off the mark, but sometimes I get it, really. Okay.
Okay, here we go. Port Colborne, we got 10 of 12, so this is going to be very close to the final numbers.
Yeah.
And again, they're putting out a PDF, so you see it's difficult to try and...
I think these numbers are actually pretty close to what have we got? 9:06 on the clock on the wall. All right, so here we go. Times cast 36. What does times cast mean at the top? What does that mean? Times cast. What is that?
I'm assuming that means you got 3614 total votes out of 15,852 eligible voters. That's my guess.
You think? So that means we only have 20. So this is where the turnout comes into play. So we've only got just under 23% turnout. Is that what you're telling me?
In Port Colborne, yeah.
That sucks.
Looks like Bill Steele is once again.
But that sucks, Kevin. Less than 23%, and it's 907.
And I mean that's 10 of 12. So that number is going to go up. It's not a running number. It's not a running total. So
but it still sucks. It's still
I know, but they'll probably get up to 28 or 29%.
Anyway, Bill Steele's been elected.
Yeah.
That is what we're talking about here.
Yeah, there you go. Fred Davies acclaimed for Regional Council, Council Ward 1. Here you go.
Okay. Well, again, as I mentioned before, we've got one front runner and then 2 battling for second place. But it still looks like Heather is going to be councillor number 2. All right. So if you're talking about this being voter turnout, 26% voter turnout in Ward 2 in Port Colborne.
But look at that, Lee. What are we going to do here? It shows at the top that we've got 6 of 6 reporting for this ward, and we've got a dead heat between Eric Beauregard and Angie Desmarais.
We've got 6 out of 6 reporting. So these are we've got to have a recount between Eric and Angie because they're exactly tied. Exactly tied at 24.87% of the vote, but only 26% of you people voted.
Okay, in Ward 3, we got 5 of 6, so one more poll to come in here from Ward 3, but it looks like Gary Bruno's going back. But again, we've got 17 votes separating Frank Danch and Kim Randall. So.
Again, the theme I was talking about before, you got one front runner and another couple of people that split the rest of the vote for number 2.
And in Ward 4, here's as though we have 2 front runners.
Well, okay. Well, at least 2 are getting in, so we know who they're going to be. So that one's done.
Yeah. So the interesting one here is the Angie Desmarais and Eric Beauregard.
That's really interesting.
Both 342.
Councillor for Ward 2, you have exactly the same number of votes, exactly the same percent of the votes. 6 of 6 tabs are in, which is only 26.15% of the eligible voters. That sucks. You people should be ashamed of yourselves.
Now here's the old Niagara on the Lake.
Should be ashamed of yourselves.
Website.
Get out and vote, for heaven's sake.
So Niagara on the Lake, they're having some internet problems out there.
Well, that's not unusual.
Results will be posted here.
Niagara on the Lake is not the most
tonight.
progressive technological community that I've ever run across.
Yeah,
So
let's see here. I mean,
I love Niagara on the Lake. Don't get me wrong. Don't send the cards and letters, etc. It's just that you're a little bit behind.
Fort Erie, we said, was done. So let's go
Fort
take a look
Erie's
at,
done. It's been done for ages.
What are some of the interesting elections? Niagara Falls is interesting. Let's see if we can get a refresh on this one.
The Bob Gale, Barbara Greenwood race is interesting to me.
Yeah, so here we go. And there's an update.
There we go. She's leapfrogged again. Barbara tend to be switching positions. Now, what have we got? Can we see anything about the percentage of vote that's in? We can't really, can we?
Up top here it appears to
Oh,
show...
up top. Okay, cards cast.
This is
voter
50 of 50, 51 of 51. Is this it?
51 of 51.
This must be it for the city of Niagara Falls.
Oh, wait a minute now. How do you read this? 51 of 51 across 37 polls.
Okay, so my assumption is there's 37 polling stations, but some of those polls might include early elections and things like that.
Oh, and there are different locations for each poll, right?
That's my guess.
Like
And
I
then
had when I went to vote in Ward 6, because I live in the Port Dalhousie ward, there were 4 locations for that one ward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So 37 polls, but 51 of 51 tabulators. So 51 of 51 machines have all come in. 30. This is final numbers. Bob Gale back into regional council, just beating Barbara Greenwood by 114.
By a titch.
114 votes.
But again, look at the turnout, Kevin. Under 28%.
Yeah, right there, 27.53. We'll see if we get that number kind of across the board.
That's horrible.
City council. Let's see what's happened here. Wow, sad day to see Chris Dabrowski and Vince Cario fall below the line.
And when again, let's look at the percentages. Can we find the percentages on that? Is there anything above that, Kev? If you scroll down.
Sorry, I don't know what you mean.
Total votes up here. 50. Carol and I. No.
Oh, sorry. You're looking at the regional council.
Yeah. I'm looking at all the numbers for the number of polls that are reporting.
It's the same across. I mean, here's your total number for all of Niagara Falls.
So that's it.
That's it. This is done. These are your final numbers.
Okay, so now let's go down and do the regional. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that I knew what I was looking at here. So we got Mike Strange, Lori Lococo, Ruth Ann Newestig, Tony Baldinelli, Victor Pietrangelo, Wayne Campbell, Mona Patel, Wayne Thompson. Those are your candidates that have been elected for Niagara Falls Council.
So I look forward to working with all of them. WeeStream, we handle the live streaming services for City Council in Niagara Falls, and I'm not familiar with Mona Patel, Tony Baldinelli, kind of, and Ruth Ann Newestig.
Yeah, interesting.
I look forward to meeting all of them.
Interesting that Chris Dabrowski and Vince Cario are below the are below the line.
I know, and you mentioned name recognition. I mean, Vince's dad was a long-time serving, I think, member of provincial parliaments.
I knew Vince's dad back in the 1970s.
So, I mean, he's got name recognition.
Loved him to death. I knew the other Vince Cario.
So let's see where we at.
All right, so that's interesting.
St. Catharines. So we got 47 of 50, and voter turnout at 25. So it'll probably end up being around 27, the same number.
Okay, so
that's almost done.
That's pretty much as we called it. Greg Miller and Jackie Lindell, Ward 1. That's pretty much done. And of course, we know that Matt Cisco is the new mayor of St. Catharines.
Yeah,
so that's
Joe Kushner, Matt Harris, they're in.
Yeah.
St. George's, Kevin Townsend, Mark Stevens, they're in. St. Patrick's, McPherson and Ratzlaff, they're in. Grantham, Phillips and Dodge.
Yep.
And then Port Dalhousie.
Pretty much as we've been calling it all night long. And Carlos, he just rests on his name.
So here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here you go. From Sal up.
That's it.
Now, you got to remember, Lee, that there's a good chance that Jim Bradley will once again be elected as the chair of the Niagara region.
Well, we'll see about that, because the chair is not elected by the public at large now, and he still has to have the vote of the majority of the regional councillors that have been elected. And if there's ever a knock on Jim, and don't get me wrong, I like Jim. He's a nice man.
Now we're 49 out of 50, so this is pretty much done.
It is.
Sorry, continue.
But if there was ever a knock on Jim, is the fact he doesn't do much. He doesn't say much. He just kind of exists. And that's how Jim Bradley's career has been in politics for many years. And Jim, I love you, but that's the reputation you have in Niagara, is you just kind of hang around and you keep getting elected. Well, we'll see if the new regional councillors feel the same way, because after the last rather meteoric existence of the regional council prior to Jim's chairmanship in this one, we'll see how that goes. Is all I have to say. We'll see how it goes.
And I guess I'm just saying there's a good chance that Brian Height, finishing in 7th, will end up with a seat on regional council if, in fact, Jim Bradley once again is elected by his peers.
Oh, say it don't so, Joe. But anyway, that's just me.
Okay, so St. Catharines is basically done. I mean, 49 out of 50.
Yeah, we're done.
There's nothing in here.
No, we're done.
City of Niagara Falls is done.
Yep.
City of Welland. Let's take a look here. I'll put the auto refresh back on. And
Welland, actually, did you find this over?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Did you find this over?
Oh, here you go. So they're done. They're done in the city of Welland.
Indeed. When we covered the provincial election, which is the last time we did this show, Welland was still the closest riding that we had, I think, in the provincial election as well. But, yeah, we've had some good races here. So there you go. Frank Campion continues as a mayor. Your district school board representative is Sue Barnett. Congratulations, Sue. And again, you're one of those people that we might want to talk to find out what exactly it is that you do. Paul Turner, same deal.
We can get Paul on the show. I'm a good family friend with Paul and, of course, his wife Tina. And I haven't seen you in a couple of years,
Okay, well, you're dialed in then,
but
Kevin.
I'm telling you, Paul, I've been encouraging for years, you got to run for mayor. Like, Paul could run for mayor and win tomorrow, I think.
Well, he ran for something significantly less auspicious as Niagara Catholic District School Board, so maybe we want to talk to him. Yeah, okay. Pat Kiokio, Leanna Viella, congratulations. Marianne Grimaldi, Adam Moot. Congratulations, David McLeod, Leo Van Vliet, John Kiokio, Shamila Sataram, well done, Tony DeMarco, Brian Green, Claudette Richard, Bonnie Fawkins, Jamie Lee, and we're going to go to
other. You
other.
Skipped over Graham Speck. I want to throw that in there too.
Did I miss Graham?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Graham. Graham Speck. Heck, we know you. We love you. You make us laugh. You make us cry. Anyway, I'm kidding. Congratulations to all the people that run for public office. You are to be saluted, because it is no small feat to put your face and your name and your reputation out there when it comes to trying to represent us in public office. We don't take it, well, a lot of people take it for granted. I certainly don't, because it costs you time, it costs you money, it costs you your life, it costs you reputation, it costs you relationships with your family, and it costs you a lot as things go down the road. So to all of you who ran for public office here in Niagara, you are to be saluted. And I don't mean that in any sort of minimal way. It is absolutely true. You are to be saluted. Winners and losers alike. Okay, where are you taking this, Kev?
So we'll go over to Lincoln, where, again, these are official final results. So Sandra Easton acclaimed. We knew what was going on there, and I'll let you take it away from here.
Yeah, so as Kevin said, Sandra Easton acclaimed as mayor. Adam Russell, Diane Regima are the two councillors elected in Ward 1, Ward 2. Brunette and Pachavera, obviously the winners there. And Kevin, do you think this is pretty much just name recognition because people have heard these people? Do they really know all of the people? Do they really know all of the... I don't think so. I don't think we know all of the people that are running.
In the town of Lincoln, and I've been to a few town of Lincoln events, and it's a fairly close-knit community.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big families there, and I think they know the people personally more than we think.
Yeah.
More than we think. Just off the top here, I'm trying to think of the people that I've met over the years. Diane Regima. I know Diane.
Yeah.
Tony
Burnett.
I know John. I've met him once or twice.
As they say, it's hard to unseat incumbents.
It really is. And then Lynn Timmers and Greg Reimer.
In Councillor Ward 4, obviously the two people but you have to give a guy like David Brown kudos, because he didn't finish that far off the pace.
No.
I mean, the second place finisher was like 34% if you round up, and David Brown was like 30% if you round up. So we're not talking big margins here. So kudos to people like David Brown that sort of want to slay the dragon.
Yeah, and then regional council was acclaimed with Robert
Foster. Yeah.
Since these are done, should we go through the 4 school boards? May as well.
Yeah, let's do it. Since we've been bashing school boards, Elizabeth Klassen, I definitely want to talk to you at some point in time. Leanne Prince, that was a close race, Kevin.
Yeah, 3-headed race. And there, you see Doug Joyner has fallen off.
Yeah.
Where Doug was leading a while ago. Is that... I thought he was in West Lincoln. Are there 2 Doug Joyners running?
I don't know. You've got me confused now, too.
I'm confused, too. Because if you remember West Lincoln...
There aren't too many Doug Joyners in Niagara, are there?
Oh, gosh. No, there's not. And I'm just trying to get... I mean, here's the Township of West Lincoln. Election results, update 4. All today's polls in Ward 2 have been added to the results, unofficial results. So let's see what we're dealing with here. And gosh, I don't know why it's giving me that error every time. Here we go. We have Cheryl Gannon, right, and Albert Witteveen.
Yeah.
Once again, and I'll just pull your face out of the way so people can see that it's a somewhat tight race, but I think Albert is ultimately going to win that one.
Yeah, that's pretty much a given.
And again, I don't know why.
I don't know why they keep doing that to you, but...
So there you go. You have William Riley, Joanne Chichok, and Jason Trombetta.
Yeah.
Going back to council. And then, of course, we
had that. Thank you, Internet.
What's going on with the Doug Joyners?
I don't know.
I mean, this year in West Lincoln, that's Doug Joyner, former mayor of West Lincoln.
Of course.
So then who is...
So do we have another Doug Joyner?
So who's Doug Joyner in the town of Lincoln? Just narrowly missed out.
If that was me and I'm a different Doug Joyner, I would call myself Douglas something.
That's a good point.
I would change my name.
Put a middle initial, Doug M. Joyner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That doesn't make sense, because the Doug Joyner I know is running for an entirely different office.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Acclaimed for the the public French board.
Yeah, that's done.
And acclaimed for, so town of Lincoln is done.
Yep.
As we move over to Pelham, we haven't had an update from Pelham in a while.
No, we haven't. But they were pretty close to being a done dinner, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, here we go. It looks like
Marvin.
those are all the polls.
Yeah, Marvin. Congratulations, he's in.
Yep. Acclaimed.
Acclaimed. Ward 2 councillor Brian Eckert and John Wink. That's done. 2 acclaimed in Ward 2.
And then Diana Houston.
And Diana Houston.
And I mean, that was a landslide. Congratulations to Diana.
So they're done. Pelham is done.
We've still got nothing out of Waynfleet, and I mean, I just refreshed the webpage. Where else would we go? Other than the webpage?
I don't know Waynfleet. I mean, how many? There's only a couple people to be elected there anyway, right?
Okay, we already knew that Thorold was done.
Yeah,
and it looks as though Jim Hanley. They're definitely going to do a recount here in Thorold.
Oh, that's going to that is way too. I mean, it's a 3-vote margin between Jim Hanley and Victoria Wilson. You can expect that there's going to be a recount there.
Both of those incumbents. So I'm looking to see the new names around the table. It would be Tim O'Hare and Mike DeVitas.
Yeah,
but Victoria and Jim both incumbents. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised, frankly, to see Jim and Victoria a little bit further down the list than I expected them to be. As we've said before, incumbents are hard to unseat. But
trying to refresh Port Colborne, as you see here, they're putting out a PDF with periodic updates, and the last was 10 out of 12. So
who does this with PDFs?
It's all over the place, which is why people come to this show, Lee,
because you can't alter them.
Because we've made it easy. We've made it easy here by bringing people to one
place.
Made
it easy on this show because these places send out PDFs. How freaking stupid is that? Sorry.
Here we go, trying to load Niagara on the Lake. Fort Erie is done.
Fort Erie's been done since the polls opened.
Yeah, okay. So we wait for some of the other web pages to load.
I have to say, I mean, Fort Erie was everybody in Fort Erie's gone to bed. It's finished.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, McDermott, Ward 1, Ward 2.
Yeah.
Darren
the results are so overwhelmingly heavy weighted that it makes no sense to even talk about it.
Yeah, this was over before it began.
It was. It was done before we even went to air.
Getting nothing out of Port Colborne. St. Catharines is done. Niagara Falls is done. Were we waiting on anything in St. Catharines? No, 50 of 50.
I don't think so. I mean,
this is done.
I have to say, though, the Niagara Falls Regional Councillor thing, between Betty and Bob.
Somebody has emailed me Grimsby unofficial results. So here we go. This is our first look at this because you just can't find it. So Mayor Jordan is going back in.
Okay. Who sent you this?
Louise just sent it to me via Facebook, but I mean, from GrimsbyCitizens.com. So this isn't even through the official webpage. So again, these are unofficial results.
These are unofficial results, gang. So we got Michelle Seaborn elected. Delight. Their parents named them Delight? That's very nice.
Yeah, Delight DeVoli.
Delight DeVoli. And Reg Freak, Dawn Howe, Leanne Vardy, Veronica Charrois, Jennifer Korstanji, Jacob Beradzil, I would guess.
I don't know that one.
Something like that. Or Nick DeFlavio. Those would be your elected people, apparently, in the municipality of...
Thanks, Grimsby. Here we go. So This is the official release from Grimsby, and the numbers seem to be a little different than what I was looking at that had...
Okay, let's look.
Oh, no, same numbers.
Same
numbers. Yeah, absolute same numbers. So there you go.
Oh, all right. So there's your...
And then at least we can get to the trustees if you want to do that, down to the bottom here.
No, it's okay. Sorry, trustees. It's not something that our viewers are going to be really wound up about. Kevin, I heard something on every now and then I still listen to the radio. Not often, but every now and then I do. And as you know, this is also the festival of Diwali, the biggest Indian, and I mean Indian, not Aboriginal, I mean Indian like in India, the celebration on the planet, in the world, ever. Diwali started today. And I heard some people in Toronto that are original citizens of the country of India, and they were asked, "Oh yeah, this is the big deal. This is really big. This is so huge. Are you going to vote?" No. I'm not going to vote. I don't care. This is the big. Well, I'm sorry. You can celebrate your Diwali or your Diwali or whatever the hell you want to count it, but you're living in Canada, and if you think it's important to live in this country, vote.
No, that's exactly what they did
Vote.
in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Lee. I mean, look at these numbers. 47.79% in Niagara-on-the-Lake. So people had something to say. We're hovering around 25, 26% in pretty much every municipality in Niagara-on-the-Lake, doubling that with the voter turnout.
We have an entire Indian population that lives in this country, in this province, that are immigrants, and they're not going to vote because they don't care, because it's not important as their festival that they have every year. I'm sorry. It's important that you contribute to this society. Vote.
Now, you know what, Lee? I'll point out that that I'm an immigrant. Everybody's an immigrant.
We're all immigrants.
Yeah, but look at these numbers, 25%. So Indian, white, black, orange.
Nobody's voting.
Jew, Christian,
We're
whatever.
not voting.
Whatever you want to say, we're not voting. I mean, I don't think you can. We're not voting. Look at the numbers.
No.
25, 26, 27%. But here in Niagara-on-the-Lake, it's done now. 47.79%. And Gary Zalepa is the Lord Mayor.
Well, good for you, Niagara-on-the-Lake, for having a turnout of 47, almost 50% of the eligible voters turned out to vote in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Good for you. God bless you. I love Niagara-on-the-Lake now.
And yet 910...
Not that I didn't before.
910 of them voted for a guy who pulled himself out of the race. And, of course, being Pat Dart.
Now that's funny. Pat Dart, what was it, a week ago?
I think a couple weeks.
Was it that long?
No, maybe not.
Pat pulled himself out of the race, and we're not going to delve into that. It's his personal reasons. It's irrelevant to us. It's important to him, and that's fine. He put another post out on social media today saying that there's been all kinds of rumors and all the rest of it. It's just that it was a personal decision for personal reasons, and God bless you. And Pat, whatever you're dealing with, I hope it goes well. But his name, it couldn't be taken off the ballot. And in spite of the fact that he made the announcement, he still got 13% of the vote. Like you can vote for a dead guy. And it's still, I like that guy. Yeah, but he's dead. But I still like him. Man.
So there are your 8 elected officials for town councillor in the town of Niagara-on-the-Lake.
There we go. And
any notables falling off the list?
I don't think so. Frankly, Kevin, that's exactly what I was looking at. The bottom 5. I don't see anybody that really makes a mark as far as I'm concerned. I'm kind of concerned. I'm kind of surprised actually that because I don't know Gary Zalepa. You know Gary better than I do, I guess.
I really don't know him. I wouldn't want to say that I know Gary. I do know, though, that Niagara-on-the-Lake was pretty divided on the Lord Mayorship of Betty DeZero over the last 4 years. And to be honest, I don't know what the issues were as to say that I would fall on one side or the other. But no. I think it was. I think it was witnessed in the voter turnout.
I'm not surprised to see that Betty was defeated. I know she worked hard at her job, but I'm not surprised. I'm a little bit surprised by the margin, because that's a fairly large margin of 15% of the vote in a community the size of Niagara-on-the-Lake. That I found a little is surprising. Not the fact that she lost, but by that strong a margin, I think is notable. So we'll see. And Gary Burrows, of course, I haven't heard anything out of Gary, except for the fact, like, since he was the regional chair. I mean, I know he's on the council, but I never see anything from him. I don't hear anything from him.
No, I hear you. So Niagara on the Lake is done.
Yeah.
Fort Erie's done.
Fort Erie's
Niagara
done.
on the Lake's done. Port Colborne still, I mean, their websites sometimes
Don't
get
you find
inundated.
that Niagara South is always the most interesting of the races? Obviously the mayor's
done.
race is done.
This is Waynfleet. Waynfleet, we got nothing out of Waynfleet.
Every time we go to Waynfleet, we get an error. Maybe that's what...
Nothing. And I mean, that's what I'm getting right now at a Port Colborne.
We haven't seen a lot of, frankly, Kevin, we haven't seen a lot of mojo. We have not seen a lot of mojo out of Waynfleet since April Jeffs left Waynfleet and went to...
I don't want to put this on, but it looks like I might have a message here from Doug Joyner.
Oh, well, maybe this will explain it then.
Yeah, I don't want to put his message on there without...
No, but you can tell us. You can interpret for us. But as I was saying, we used to hear, and I used to interact a lot more with Waynfleet when April Jeffs was the mayor there, because she really was out. She was really out there. She made a point of being in the public eye, and since she sort of left that role, I know she is in another role now, but since she left that role, Waynfleet has sort of been bubbling under the radar. And it's unfortunate. I know it's a small community, and there aren't very many representatives in the region of Niagara, and perhaps that's one of the problems that we have with our governance, is that with 12 municipalities, plus the region of Niagara, the way that the political governance is structured definitely needs to be re-examined. And people have been saying that for years, from the provincial level all the way down to the most basic municipal level. The governance of our region is something that's very important, and it's kind of clunky right now. It's hard to manage, and it's something that we need to really get a hold of. And one of the things that happens is your small communities, the smaller areas like Waynfleet, get sort of run over by the big ones, like the St. Catharines and Niagara Falls and Niagara on the Lake and Fort, and like all those. They kind of get left in the dust, and it's not fair, because they're left back in the field going, hey, what about me? Hey, wait a minute. I get this is important, but what about me back here? And that's how I sort of feel about Waynfleet. And it's a beautiful part of our region, as are other smaller areas, and they don't deserve to be left in the dust and sort of forgotten or maybe given an afterthought. Oh yeah, we got to look about those people. Those people. Well, they're people that belong in our region, and they're people that are a vital part of our region. And just because you're living in a smaller community like Fort Erie or Waynfleet or Port Colborne or Welland or whatever, doesn't mean that you don't matter. And sometimes I get the feeling that around these big tables, around these big ovals, that there are a few people, not everybody, there are a few people that put you in the category of, well, you don't matter because you're small. Well, just because you're small doesn't mean you don't matter. And those are the things that I would like to see changed with the governance of Niagara. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen, the live Niagara election results in all 12 municipalities, plus the region that we've been covering here since 8 p.m. And I think we've probably done and dusted it, Kevin. I don't know that we're going to find anything as we scroll through our results that's going to change the outcome of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying different browsers and different devices just to see if we can get anything out of Waynflete and Port Colborne. That's pretty much what we're looking at now.
Yeah.
In Port Colborne, we did have that dead heat. I think Port Colborne was done, wasn't it? And we had a tie between...
I believe it was.
Angie Desmarais and Eric Beauregard.
Yes.
Had the exact same number of votes, but Bill Steele is in as
mayor.
As mayor, but we haven't heard anything from Waynflete.
No. I find that, again, a little bit surprising, understanding the fact that you are a small municipality. You don't have much representation at the region, but you do have municipal governance for your community, and it should be as important to you as it is to the other municipalities to make sure that we have up-to-date information so that we can say, hey, Waynflete, here's what you did. But we're not sure right now.
Yeah. Okay, so Lee, gosh, I don't know how I can get this on the screen. Let me work a couple things. But in Waynflete, it's all done, and Kevin Gibson, the incumbent mayor, appears to have lost his seat by 8 votes to Brian Grant.
Okay, see, now we didn't have... That's a good story. And we didn't have any of that. Where did you find that? Why couldn't we put that up here?
Just on my cell phone. I'm not sure whether we're having internet issues here.
It's not your fault. It's not our fault. It's just, why didn't Waynflete make this more accessible?
It could be me, Lee. Let's see if I can punch up...
It couldn't be you, Kevin. You're perfect. Ha ha.
Yeah. So I punch up waynflete.ca.
What did we miss?
I mean, here we go.
I apologize if we missed something.
No, I'm telling you, their website was down, Lee.
Oh, okay.
So here we go. I'll pop it up there so people can see.
Okay, so here's and this was it. This is from their town site. We're correct?
Yeah, and I think their website had to have been down for some time.
Oh, all right. Well, then that would have been a problem for anybody to access. So we've got a winner of Brian Grant by like 6 votes, 8 votes over Kevin Gibson. Alfred's not in the picture. Now, four to elect from the councillors would be Terry Gilmore, Sherry Van Vliet, John McClellan, and Jennifer DeRuiter. And Joan Anderson.
Yeah,
that's how I read it.
Gilmore, McClellan, and Van Vliet are your incumbents. But Kevin Gibson has been unseated in the township of Waynflete.
Okay. And then, for those that are interested, the English Public School trustee is going to be Deanne McIntosh. English Separate School trustee is going to be Danny DiLorenzo. No nominated candidates for French Public. And Joanne Thibodeau is acclaimed as the French Separate School trustee. All results, of course, as we announce them, are unofficial until certified by the clerk. So these things, because there is such a small margin of votes involved with these things, they can change.
So I skipped away here and again, trying to just get the final numbers out of Port Colborne.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only one we're waiting on, right? Everything else has
Looks like it, yeah.
Everything else has been decided.
Yeah.
And again, Port Colborne keeps sending them to us in PDFs. And the last update we had was 10 of 12. And honestly, I think these websites are just chugging along because they're being inundated, probably seeing more traffic tonight
than they've ever seen.
Than they've ever seen. But
yeah, so they're running slow. And PDFs are slow anyway.
Yeah, so anyway, I don't know if we want to wrap things up. I don't know
I think we should. I think we should just do one final tie a final knot in the bow.
All right, you want to take a look at the 12 municipalities?
Yeah, let's walk through them at your discretion here, Kevin.
Okay, we'll start with City of St. Catharines, which is
okay.
done.
Of course, Matt Cisco is the mayor. Here are your regional councillors elected from the City of St. Catharines: Jim Bradley, Laura Yip, Haley Bateman, Peter Secord, Tim Rigby, and Sal Sorrento. Councillors from Ward 1, we won't redo the mayor thing. Councillors from Ward 1, Greg Miller and Jackie Lindell. Councillors from Ward 2, Joe Kushner and Matt Harris. Ward 3, Kevin Townsend and Mark Stevens. Ward 4, Robin McPherson, Caleb Ratzliff. Ward 5, Don Dodge and Bill Phillips. Ward 6, Carlos Garcia and Bruce Williamson. And that wraps up your city of St. Catharines. Your regional councillors in the mayor's race, Kim Crater, Joyce Morocco, Bob Gale. Your mayor is Jim Diodati. Your city councillors are Mike Strange, Laurie Lococo, Ruth Ann Newestig, Tony Baldinelli, Victor Pietrangelo, Wayne Campbell, Mona Patel, and Wayne Thompson. In Welland, Mayor Frank Campion, District School Board Sue Barnett, District School Board Catholic Paul Turner, Regional Councillor Pat Chiocchio and Leanna Villela, Ward 1 Councillors Marianne Grimaldi, Adam Moot, Councillors Ward 2 David McLeod, Leo Van Vliet, Councillors Ward 3 John Chiocchio, Sharmila Sitaram, Councillors Ward 4 Tony DeMarco and Brian Green, Councillors Ward 5 Claudette Richard, Graham Speck. Notice I said Richard, Kevin. Councillor Ward 6 Bonnie Fawkins and Jamie Lee.
Now, it's worth noting there, Lee, that Jamie Lee, Jim LaRouche separated by just one vote. So I'd imagine they'll have a recount there for Ward 6.
There are going to be some recounts, no question.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy's been on council forever.
Yeah, these are now the results as we know them at this moment. All right. So now we're going to Grimsby.
And let's see what their voter turnout was. Looks like, is that... Okay, it's hard to say. They don't have a total... Oh, yeah.
Tell me
there you
that.
go. Okay, 37.5%.
Yeah.
Tough to see here. I'll blow that up.
No, I see that. Yeah. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out the right line. Yeah. Okay. So we have the mayor is Jeff Jordan. Regional councillor is Wayne Furdich.
I think it's Michelle
I'm sorry,
Seaborn.
Michelle Seaborn. I apologize, Michelle Seaborn. Councillors, Ward 1, we've got Delight Devoli.
I think it's 2 in each ward.
Is it 2 in each ward? That's what I was wondering
so, yeah.
on this, because I wasn't 100% sure. So we've got Delight Devoli as well as Reg Freak, councillors of Ward 2. And again, if we are electing 2 of them, it was a pretty close race. Don Howe and Leanne Vardy were elected there. Councillors in Ward 3, again, Kevin, we're announcing 2 of them. Ryan Day and Jennifer Corstani.
I think that would be Veronica Charrois or Charrois.
Oh, I missed it. I'm sorry, I was reading the wrong line. Thank you, man, for keeping me on point. Veronica Charrois at almost 30%, and Jennifer Corstangi at almost 28%. Councillor Ward 4. They don't have these in order, so it's a little bit kind of difficult to sort them out. Nick DeFlavio, as well as Jacob Beradzil. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. English trustee from that community is Elizabeth Klassen. I want to talk to that woman. I really do. English trustee for Niagara Catholic School Board is Leanne Prince. And acclaimed is Pierre Gregory from the French Public School. Also, Melinda Chartrand, acclaimed for the French Separate School trustee. Let's go to Lincoln. And again, we're doing this all out loud for you because we do podcasts of these things as well, so that if you're just listening instead of watching, you can follow what we say. Sandra Easton, Mayor of Lincoln, acclaimed. The 2 councillors from Ward 1, Adam Thomas Russell and Diane Regima, those are the 2 there. Tony Burnett, John D. Pachareva from Ward 2. Mike Mikulich and Ann Murray, the 2 from Councillor Ward 3. Lynn Timmers, Greg Reimer from Ward 4. Boy, that was a close one. And Robert Foster was acclaimed as a regional councillor as well. All right, and of course, the trustees, Elizabeth Klassen was the. Whoop! I'm moving the TV. Sorry, Kev.
Good. And then we got Leanne Prince for Niagara Catholic.
Yeah.
And you got French Public acclaimed Pierre Gregory, and French Catholic acclaimed
Melinda Chartrand. Yeah.
Pelham, here we have.
Pelham. Marvin Junkin. Not much of a battle there. Ward 1, Kevin Kerr, Wayne Olson were acclaimed. Ward 2, Brian Eckert and John Wink. Ward 3, Bob Hildebrand and Shelley Nisnik. They were both acclaimed as well. They didn't have to spend anything on a campaign. That's got to be good, eh? Hey, phew, I can rest, yeah. Diana Hewson is the winner in that ward.
And, they haven't included all the school board trustees and whatever on here, so we'll just skip over that.
That's okay.
Again, Waynfleet.
And again, not to minimize the importance of your job. Don't get me wrong.
So here's Thorold, where Terry Ugolini, the incumbent mayor, 72% of the vote. So that was a landslide.
Yeah.
City councilor, an at-large system. So you're electing 8, and those are your 8 right there.
I like the at-large system. I really do. But anyway, those are your 8 councillors elected out of Thorold. Henry D'Angelo, Carmen DeRose, Tim O'Hare, Anthony Longo, Ken Santance, Mike DeVitas, Nella Decker, and Jim Handley just made it by a whisker. And that, sometimes maybe you can be too vocal. I don't know. Because he has to be, in my experience, the most vocal counselor on the Thorold bench. But he's also a little bit radical and a little bit out there. So I guess you love him or hate him, but enough people loved him to put him back into office. Where are we going now from Thorold? Have we got any place else to go?
We'll just go through the. Did we do regional councillor for Thorold? There you go, Tim Whalen back in office.
Tim Whalen, Daryl. Tim Whalen, and of course the mayor Terry Ugolini, and that's about.
And they go Nancy Beamer for school board trustee, English Public, Niagara Catholic. There's Rhiannon Burkholder. Yeah. And then French separate school board.
There's Melinda again.
Yeah, so I think some of these people, in especially French Catholic, represent a broader catchment area. Because you see the same.
I believe that too.
Names, yeah. Okay, and then where are we into now? Port Colborne.
Have you got anything else on Port Colborne?
Nothing. Let me see here. PortColborne.ca, I think, is the website. Now, it was Bill Steele.
Yes.
Going back in with a good portion of the vote. And if you remember, the final had Angie Desmarais and Eric Beauregard with the exact same number of votes for the second spot in their ward.
That was the one that was the tightest because they had exactly the same percentage and they had exactly the same number of votes. And that's the one, anytime you've got that's attractive to people like us because you want to say, ooh, what are we doing there? So they may be counting that again into the wee small hours of the morning.
I think their website's just down, to be honest. So we move on to Niagara-on-the-Lake, where this is interesting because we had a incumbent mayor dethroned, as is the case
Betty DeSario. Yeah, and
they're your 8 town councilors.
I got nothing on the screen there, mate.
Oh, do you not?
No, I do not.
Oh, okay.
But I can see it here. Niagara-on-the-Lake, of course, Gary Zlipa is the mayor. Aaron Weens, Gary Burrows, Wendy Sharapata, Tim Balasiuk, and now we're all gone.
What the hell just happened here?
I have no idea. No action shut off was active. We're getting a little bit of an internet goofy thing. Oh, there we go. Sandra O'Connor, Nick Ruller, Adriana Cater, Vizari, that must be like a married name, and Maria Vavridis. I always find Niagara-on-the-Lake to be so interesting because not only do we have a Lord Mayor, we just have a different sort of feel about the municipality of Niagara-on-the-Lake. And don't get me wrong, I love you. I mean, I love Niagara-on-the-Lake, and we've got those, the big malls, and then we've got the old town, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But I don't know how to explain it, but Niagara-on-the-Lake always seems a little bit a world apart to me from and it shouldn't. And I know it's just me because it's all part and parcel of the Niagara region. And then, of course, there's going to be a lot of things that have to be talked about in the upcoming term, being shared services and synergies between regions, transportation and all of those things, and affordable housing and all that stuff. All those things that sound really boring but are really, really important with regard to how we negotiate through our society. And you can all think that it's all, oh, well, it's my town and it's your town and it's everybody's town. It's our, but it's our region, and that's what makes it really difficult. And we'll find out what happens with regard to governance for regions and municipalities as the provincial government goes forward. We have not been following at all, because that's not our mandate here, anything happening in the GTA or anywhere outside the boundaries of Niagara, because there are a lot of ways that you can find out that information. And I guess our job here, Kevin, is almost done. We have brought you the results, as it says on the screen, of all 12 municipalities, plus the region, for mayor and council, regional council, and the school boards. And I know that I've given kind of short shrift and a bit of a sideways, tongue-in-cheek aspect of school boards, only because I don't understand how they work. And that's just me. And I don't minimize your importance. I think you're very important, because the people that you represent are looking after the leaders of the future, which are our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren, and you do important work. I'm just not exactly sure what work it is you do. And I will make it my goal over the course of the next while to have some of you on our program, Niagara 411 Live, to find out exactly what it is you do. Because I'm frankly quite interested in it. I would like to thank all of the candidates that put their name forward and their reputations on the line and did all the legwork and did all the footwork and spent the money to put your names forward as candidates for our municipal elections. You are very, very important people. Not everybody would do what you do, even if you eat. And the thing that gets me also is the fact that people will run for an office that they know that they probably don't have a chance to win. I don't think I'm going to win, but I want to have my voice heard. God bless you. I think that's a wonderful place to be. And even if you know you're not going to win the prize, you're not going to take home the trophy, you say, you know what? I'm not going to take home the trophy, but I'm going to throw my name into this bunch so that I can actually have a voice. Even if it's only for a couple of weeks, I'm going to have a voice. Well, good for you. It's not to be disenfranchised that you do this. You're not to be maligned because you take a shot. Because you took a shot, you'll never hit a target if you don't take a shot. And to those of you people that did that, irrespective of how you performed in this election, good for you for taking a shot. Because for everybody that takes a shot, there are another 100 people or another 1,000 people or another 10,000 people that are bitching and complaining and moaning, and they never jump into the pool to take a shot. And for that, you are to be congratulated. I really do believe that, because you can bitch and moan all you want, but if you're not playing the game, there's no way you can win. You can't win without a ticket. So to those of you that bought a ticket, good for you. Good for you. We're going to go now. Niagara 411 Live election results 2022 is over. My name is Lee Sterry. I want to thank Kevin Jack, the executive producer of our shows that we always do live streaming here from WeeStream. We're going to be on the air with Niagara 411 Live this Thursday at noon, and there will be some probably postmortems with regard to this program as well as others. But congratulations to those that were victorious. And to those that weren't, thank you for your participation. Have yourselves a great week. Cheers.